what's up, Patriots? It's October 15th. This is J6 Updates, News, and Chat. And it appears we have a good transmission. And I forgot to text my mods and tell them I'm coming on. Darn it. Hey, Docs and Grandma. Yeah, boy, a lot went on this weekend, that's for sure. Welcome to the DC Kangaroo Nazi Court. That's the word of the weekend. Apparently, if you say that in court in DC, you go to jail for 5 months. Just ask Brandon Fellows. All right, so kids, I'm so sorry. I thought I was gonna give you and Bonnie a text, and I just got on it and then didn't get the text yet. Yeah, well, let's say hello. Look at the new view. This is a park that was built on an old farm called Stoner Farm. Let's see, right there, that's the old farmhouse that used to be on here, and then all these houses were just recently built to house whoever can afford them. It's not a cheap neighborhood, but you don't get a whole lot for what they charge you there. Hey, Ridgeline, good to see you there. Hope everything's going good. Hope we're all managing. Oh, you got a notification, Sunkissed. All right. YouTube's on the up and up, man. I don't know, some of you guys like Trooper, he's on all these different medias, and I cannot barely figure out YouTube. So I'm kind of stuck here in YouTube. But as long as they keep me going and don't just shut me off, I guess I'll keep going. Kind of scrambling to set up here still. Had a great weekend. Got a lot done. I got the transmission in the van. Everything seems to be working properly. There weren't any mystery puddles in the driveway this morning when I woke up, so that was a good sign. Got it home. And I'll tell you what, man, working with these men that still know how to wrench on a car is really cool, man. Send your kids to Folk Tech. You'll never not have a job. Hello, Sharon Kearns. Hey there, third of its kind. How are you? June Dalton. Hello. Dev Vibe. Watermark. Okay. Thank you, Dev. What would I do without you? Well, I know. I wouldn't have a watermark. Pathfinder Prod, Patriot, okay, hello everyone. Docs and Grandma, TT. Who cares where I'm heading, TT? And if I knew, I wasn't even going to tell you. Let's just go day by day here. Seems like the Patriots got things under control in DC. It might be time to expand our attack. Those are the ideas going through my mind. They're scrambling in DC, making up rules at the prisons so the Patriots can't visit people who don't know them. When did that start? When did that start? Is that a tyrant making up a new rule because they're not winning the game? Is that a little crybaby saying, no fair, I'm going to make up a rule now? At Freedom Corner, we organized visits for the Patriots that didn't have family nearby. And so that meant that some people that had never met before were getting visitation just so we could get them some human contact. And we got many visits under our belts out there. Dwight and Lily, the spearhead, tip of the spear on that front, was they were just making a lot of visits happen, a lot of new friends that were meeting in jail right there. But now I guess they're going to be shutting that down, apparently. We'll see how that goes for them. They're not going to shut it down in DC, from what I know, but this was at a BO pre-prison that one of the J6ers informed us of a couple of days ago. And that was information that came out through the J6 Vigil's Freedom Corner marathon. And that has been a marathon. Who said that the other day? Kyle Fitzsimmons mentioned that on the 12th. In a letter that Tammy read at Freedom Corner. Strangers can't visit J6ers now. So he's in Florida. So that's either a state prison or a BOP prison that is putting a clamp down on visitation for prisoners. This flipped around. Hello, Patriots. How are you? So like I said, the van's all fixed up. Got that done. Now I gotta like clean up everything. That takes a day. But it was really cool working with my mechanic and my son. They had a lift. They had grinders. They had welders. It was just amazing. This project that would have taken me a week trying to do it by myself, and I probably would have got a hernia or a blown disc. We were able to get done in about 6 hours, and everything's running great. Hey, silly for him, hello. We hope you had a good wedding. Your daughter had a good wedding yesterday. We didn't do a stream yesterday because I was busy with the transmission. So I had to spend this morning getting all caught up from Freedom Corner and the Northern Neck vigil that they had down there. Stormtrooper and Tammy rolled down into Warsaw, Virginia, met all the Northern Neck Patriots there from their Patriot group, had a vigil at the jail. The broadcast went out great. I'm sure Tom Jeffries down there, and I think he had a guy on the camera, but I didn't catch his name. I would like to know his name though, because he did a good job. And Stormtrooper, they did a great vigil from there. So that's what I'm going to report on right now, because that's about all I got to report on. I haven't seen Freedom Corner last night or Freedom Corner Friday. So things happening so fast, I just don't have time to get it all reported on for you, but I'll get what I can. And it got to the point where I got enough for today. I can't put any more, or we're going to have a 3-hour show here. Man, that sounds like a beautiful time, Sylvia. I'm so happy. That's great, man. It's good to have our happy moments in the middle of this whatever's going on here. So, man, they had so Tammy and Trooper headed down to Virginia. I think he did a live stream on the way down. It's one of them cool live stream in the car where everybody in the chat's talking like they're sitting on each other's, legs and arms and feet and stuff. And they got down there, set up, got a broadcast in. Northern Neck Patriots were there. And John Haynes from the Northern Neck Sentinel. All right, so first off, there is an excellent article in the Northern Neck Sentinel, which is the local paper there. And John Haynes has been on the J6 topic, and even more specifically, the Northern Neck Regional Jail topic for a while. And collecting evidence, man. It's been a year since that vigil started up, and in that year, the Patriots at Northern Neck have collected evidence, have went to the public meetings for this jail. They've investigated things. They looked up a little history on the jail, found out why and how it was built, and they found some things. So I can't wait to hear these things come out. It's great. And then suddenly we got 2 people off their prison board that are resigning. So have a happy retirement, prison board. We'll see you soon, I'm sure. You don't get away with being a tyrant, and you just don't get away with that. We're not having it. Not anymore. Now the Patriots are on the front line. Yeah, so this article from Northern Neck, it'll come up and go to the top right-hand article. I think it's called something like Cover Up or something like that. And it's a brief synopsis of everything that they have uncovered and written up until this point, and where they stand right now in going forward from there. And man, Tom Jeffries, John Haynes, you guys are awesome patriots, man. Showing us how it gets done. And it ain't easy. It's a lot of work, that's for sure. Okay, so that's the Northern Neck Sentinel newspaper. And then right here, silly for him with the link, thank you, for the Northern Neck Patriots group. That's the group of people that they meet every month. They hold a vigil at the Northern Neck Regional Jail every Friday night, and have done now for a year. And they are getting a YouTube channel up and running. But it's a really sketchy spot where they're broadcasting from, and looking into options and how to get a clearer broadcast, because sometimes it isn't watchable. It jumps around, buffers, and the sound is horrible. They got pretty much the worst conditions you could imagine there, because it's right next to a highway. You got highway noise, you got the sketchy cell service right there. But they pulled it off this weekend, man. That was one of the best vigils I've watched in a while, man. Way to go, Stormtrooper and Tammy and Tom Jeffries out there. And they got a lot of phone calls. Starting off with well, where's my notes now? Here we go. Starting off with, sorry about that, Patriots. Live TV. Oh, right on. All right. Okay, you had the YouTube channel in that last link. Thank you, Sylvia. Bonnie, how you doing? I'm sorry I didn't text you. I forgot. But it's good to see you here. Right on. My mods. I love you guys. Tom Jeffries started off the evening with, so they're meeting at a little spot at the Northern Neck Regional Jail that they have. It's supposed to be a little spot that, like, troubled families can visit with attorneys or whatever. It's outside, it's landscaped, it's pretty nice. And then on it, there's little bricks in it that has the person's name on it, and it's all people that have served and I think died while working for the jail and stuff. So it's a spot that's meant for meetings, for people to happen. So it's really nice that from the get-go, a year ago, Northern Neck Regional Jail we had a contact in there. Tammy was the liaison there, and they have allowed the Patriots to use that spot every Friday night to hold their vigil. So that's, first of all, that's professional, okay? That's America. That's the way things should be going here. And we honor that. Thank you for your professionalism, whoever that is. But not all the people at this jail deserve any type of thanks or anything. In fact, some of them are tyrants. It's turning out here. So Tom Jeffries of Northern Neck Patriots brought up a guy that he's been following on Twitch or Twitter named Steve Baker. Steve Baker is a Patriot who was at J6 filming the whole thing. So he was a on-the-ground reporter, never got arrested, but ever since then he's been reporting on things, and he has gotten access to the mysterious 44,000 hours of security footage, okay? So somehow it's not released to us, we don't have it, but this Steve Baker guy has access to it, and that's all he has. He has only access. He can't bring it home and put it on his TV at home. He's got to go to a spot. He gets, I think he said, 3 hours a day to look at stuff. He said there's others doing the same thing on the desk next to him, but it's a rather hard thing, you know? I mean, who's going to pay the guy to go in there for 3 hours a day? I mean, they're pretty much self-funded investigators. And Steve Baker has uncovered the fact that Officer Lazarus perjured himself when he testified in the J6 Commission, the J6 Commission show, we call it here. Steve Baker is with Glenn Beck. Okay, so way to go, Glenn Beck, man. Put one of your guys on the job here. Because that's an investment. You got to pay for, somebody's got to feed this guy. He can't just do all this stuff on his own. So way to go, Glenn Beck. And this evidence will be coming out shortly. I guess there's a process, just like Tucker put out the video on the QAnon shaman guy, Jake Chansley. Soon there will be something coming from Steve Baker on Officer Lazarus and his testimony versus his actions on J6. Turns out some of the things he testified to are impossible once you look at the videos. And imagine that. We've been saying this forever, that we're going to find out what went on J6. And well, one little piece of information is Officer Lazarus testified one thing to the J6 Commission and did another. So he lied, okay? Now let's see if liars go to jail. Tom Jeffries also brought up the fact that Tom Fighton is on the Judicial Watch Committee. Man, I'm confused on Tom Fighton, man. I think he's a representative. But either way, I think he used to be a representative. Now he's just with this organization called Judicial Watch. And they filed Freedom of Information papers to get this information from the Capitol Police on all the prior intel the Capitol Police had before J6. And it turns out they had a lot of information, man, about something was going to be going down that day. And something did go down that day, as we all know, but Tom Fighton's just wondering why, if you had all this heads up and stuff, why was this such a surprise? Why were the cops beating up on women so the men would jump in and stop it? Why were they, why were peaceful people flashbanged upon and hit with batons and pushed around with police shields? Why did all this happen? And then why if you had all this security, all you did was set up a bike rack security system? You'd think if they had what Tom Fighton's finding out they knew, you would want to set up more than just bike racks, because it would have been impossible to defend the Capitol. And we all know that the defense of the Capitol failed that day, utterly failed. So that's another thing that Tom Jeffries brought up. Another thing that looks like we're getting somewhere with Tom Fighton and his Judicial Watch investigations and eventually filing lawsuits against the Capitol Police. And furthermore, the police got all that early warning information and didn't let anybody in the public know. And then Tom's also spoke with Tammy about how when we first held that first vigil, how it was scary, man. We didn't know if they were going to come out and beat us and arrest us or just yell at us and tell us to go away or what, And we did the first vigils there in Northern Neck and Lewisburg, and each time, man, we had to go in not knowing what to expect. So if you're letting Lord lead the way and just put your path before you that day, and you just walk it, I think he stands with you and protects you and keeps you on the mission that he wants you on. So there was a day when there were 55 J6ers in the Northern Neck prison. And we were getting phone calls from the guys when we got there. We were hearing about food problems, medical problems, beatings, all kinds of stuff, man. And it felt like we're taking these phone calls, hearing about this heinous physical and psychological torture that they were doing to these J6ers, and nothing was getting done about it, I mean, we'd go home after a vigil like, holy smokes, did you hear what that guy just said? That's in America. How can that be happening in America? Yet here it is. It was happening in America. But now a year later, finally, things are catching up to these people in the jails now. They had a scam going, and read that Northern Neck Sentinel article, and it pretty much explains it in that current article that we posted here just a second ago. Then we got a phone call from Brian Jackson. Him and Andrew Taki kind of shared the phone for a little bit, saying thanks to the Northern Neck Patriots for continuing to stand up for prisoners who don't have a voice, you know, because right now there aren't any J6ers in Northern Neck Prison. They got rid of them all. They were too hot. They were hot potato. They got rid of them, all right? But we didn't leave, okay? We're still, or the Northern Neck Patriots and us as a conglomerate whole are still on the Northern Neck Regional Jail, and we will support them in their prosecution, future prosecutions of the people was responsible for the ripoff of the local people of their money, for this scam they got going there with that jail, and for the heinous treatment and denial of constitutional and human rights to the prisoners that they detained, both J6er and civilian. Okay, and then Jonathan Manafo got on. He kind of told us, he had a couple of things about the so he talked about letter delivery is sketchy. Like, he's just now getting letters from 6 months ago. He's a New York guy, Jonathan Manafo. He was sentenced to 33 months. He's got 16 months left to serve, and he's still waiting to go to a BOP facility. He is currently in D.C. in the Gulag right now. And he said one of the things one of his best lawyers told him was there is a right we have to a speedy trial, which they trampled on for all J6ers. But technically, we have a right to a speedy trial, but we don't have a right for a speedy sentencing. So since he's got sentenced, it's been a while. He has gotten sentenced now, and it's been a while. And they will soon be sending him out to a Federal Bureau of Prisons facility somewhere to serve out the remaining 16 months of his sentence. I also didn't know this about Jonathan Manafo, but he films, before J6, he was an activated patriot. And he went to just like interesting places. I think he said he went to the salon. During COVID, Nancy Pelosi got caught on hidden camera getting her hair done without her mask on. Do you remember that? And shortly after that happened, Jonathan Manafo went to that salon and did a little thing there. I don't know if he filmed it or what, but he went and visited them and said thank you for getting that video out there showing how much of a slime ball Nancy Pelosi is. She was telling the whole country to wear a mask, and there she is not wearing a mask. I mean, we saw that everywhere. We knew we were going to see it everywhere. So Jonathan Manafo is an example of an activated patriot, and then he went to other just random things, man. There once you hear about something and you got the weekend off, you can run down. Freedom Jeffrey was just in an event in Quarryville, Pennsylvania on Friday or Saturday, and that's 20 miles down the road. I didn't even know it was happening. But if I wasn't busy that day, I would have been able to go to that event, and help them out with numbers, attending their event and all that stuff. And thanks for filming that, Freedom Jeffrey, because now I'm going to find out what went on there right in Quarryville, and I'm kind of slapping myself for not being there myself, but I did have other things I had to get attended to, and that happens. And I'm not sure, but I think Jonathan Manafo said he was part of a group of people called the Front Row Joes. It was kind of sketchy sound right at that time, and I couldn't quite pick out what he said. And then he also mentioned that from his prison cell in D.C., that the route where Sleepy Joe flies in and out of the White House is like right out his window. And we see it all the time at Freedom Corner, man. It'll happen 2, 3, 4 times a night sometimes, where Marine One and the 2 look-alike helicopters, they use that route over the Anacostia River to get in and out of D.C. and go into the White House and stuff. Oh, good link, silly. Glenn Beck and Steve Baker, Pelosi's head of security, likely perjured himself with January 6th lie. We know it. We know it. Guaranteed he perjured himself. Now, what do you get for perjury? Amongst a jury of your peers, you get, what, a month, 6 months? If you're in a hostile jury pool, you could probably end up with 2-3 years for something like that. We're seeing that happen in D.C. So, right on, Jonathan Manafo, man. I learned something about you. I've heard you call in the Freedom Corner many, many times, and I'm still learning about, you know, how awesome you were to stand up for us on January 6th, and that you had been doing that before that, even before that. And that's an activated patriot. That's what I want to be when I grow up. They also got a call from Tommy Tatum. He was in with us when we first went down to Northern Neck, and he was just, I don't know where he is now, but he called in, said, thanks, Northern Neck Patriot, congratulations on a 1-year anniversary for the vigil there, and good luck. And good luck to you, Tommy Tatum, man. Yogananda Pittman, right. Yeah, Yogananda's another one there, Ridgeline, who is associated with the Tariq Johnson. Tariq Johnson is kind of a whistleblower. He retired from the Capitol Police since J6, and he's telling it like it is. Like there was weird stuff going on. He had to take matters into his own hands a couple times. So he's been interviewed by many, many people, and that's that interview that you just sent me a little while ago. So that's a whole nother thing beyond this guy that we're talking about here. Lazarus, Officer Lazarus, and then there was another dude. What was it? There's another guy associated with that false J6 commission testimony that he got. So it was good to hear from Tommy, man. I always wondered what happened to Tommy. He kind of just disappeared for a while. And then I've seen he's down in, all right, so Tommy Tatum, he's got a YouTube channel. He was filming at Freedom Corner many times. Was down there for months and months. And right now, I think he's back home. And he has been putting out some J6 footage video. So check him out. He's putting it into like short formats, so it's easy to watch. It's only 3 minutes long and stuff. And he's also got other irons in the fire too, man. They got some corruption down there in Mississippi where he lives. He's kind of on that. He testified in a couple of J6ers trials about the beating that Roseanne Boylan took since he was right there. Oh, and MAG Americans is on in 30 minutes. Okay, so he's coming on early. So I want to get done before he comes on. All right, and then so Tommy called in. Then Chris Quaglin's called in. And it was great, man. Listen to the testimony of his treatment. Okay, so now, on Stormtrooper's video of the Northern Neck Vigil, I went in and time-stamped a lot of this stuff. So if you go into that video and click on the comments, like you're going to leave a comment or something, or you want to read the comments of that video, click on the comments, and I'll have a post in there or two with timestamps on it. All you got to do is touch that timestamp and it'll take you directly to that spot in the video. So I timestamped a bunch of this stuff for him. Chris Quaglin called in and he started reading off the testimony of his treatment in Northern Neck. A year ago, when Chris Quaglin would call us from Northern Neck jail, he was the guy I'm talking about, where we would get off the vigil, get home, and go, what in the world is going on in Northern Neck Regional Jail right now? And we just couldn't believe it. And it was horrible. And it is still horrible, but he's not there now, okay? But what he's reading is evidence that he has gathered while he was there. So he has it. Chris Quagland kept notes, man. And that's what we need right now. And that's what I hope a lot of the J6ers have been doing, is just keeping detailed notes of who beat them and why and what the explanations were and all that stuff. Why was the water brown? Why did the toilet not get fixed for 5 days? Things like that. And that's what they did to him down there. And there's a gal named Sherry who originally started the whole thing with starting the Northern Neck Vigil. Because before, who was it? All right, so it was me, Sherry, and Trooper, and Tommy, and Tammy went all down there kind of like at the same time. And this Sherry gal had already gotten started down there with Tom Jeffries, and we contacted the witness. So Sherry, Chris Quagland was giving you kudos on this phone call. And Chris Quagland also has lots and lots of notes about the attorneys that he had representing for him. So, way to go. And then John Haynes, the guy who edits and owns the Northern Neck Sentinel newspaper there, stood up and spoke and talked about documentation, talked about the horrible treatment Chris Quagland got, how Barry Ramey went to another BOP prison now, and he can't even call into the vigils. But there's other ways of talking to these guys. There's letters, and there is emails that you can, some of them, I guess, figure out how to do it. My suggestion, I would love to see people like adopt a J6er, and like that guy that just got busted from Baltimore, Baltimore Patriots. If you're into this J6 thing, there's a guy. Pick up his story and follow every piece of information that you can get on these guys. That way we don't lose track of them. To me, there's just so many of them. I can't keep them all straight half the time. But when we're reading that roll call off now, 25% of them, that name reads off, I got a whole memory of that guy. And I never even met him, but I just know tons of stuff about the what they went through and their stories and their crime, their charges. And it's hard to keep it all straight. That's why we need more people to help do that. And if you kind of adopt a J6er, and I know there's a website out there somewhere for that, and is that the One Sunkist, where you can just try to keep up on information on one person. There's a lot of different websites, and they'll specialize in, say, a half a dozen J6ers that they've been following and keeping up with. And that's when John Haynes said there's major lawsuits coming down the road. That made me happy, John Haynes. Thank you. Yeah, you like the timestamps, Cat? They help out, don't they? Oh, shoot. What did I just do? There we go. Okay. I like the timestamps too, Kathy. And, this is a great way to help out. If you got a favorite streamer or something, in order to put timestamps on, you got to wait till the stream is over and then start a rewatch of it so the timer is correct. If you try to do it before the stream is over, you get a reverse timestamp on it because I don't know why, but you got to watch the replay to put the timestamps in. And the earlier after that live stream is over to get the timestamps in, the more people will see them. So if you got a favorite streamer, here's a way for you guys just to jump in and help out your favorite streamer. You can even do it, you don't even got to ask. You can just leave a comment and say at 10:15, Mickey said a cool thing or something like that on their comment sections. And I agree with you, Kathy. They do help out a lot. Oh, here you go. Silly for him with the link. Adopt the J6er program. You can go by state, you can go by birthdays, you can go by anything, man. But I think going by state is one of the best ways to go. Those are your state brothers and sisters. Those are other citizens of your state that your attorney general didn't stand up for. So let's stand up for them. It's a great program. Shane Green got up and said a couple things. James Grant got up, said his trial's in 11 days. He was put into a cell. All kinds of stuff. You gotta listen to it. And then one of my favorite J6ers called in, Brandon Fellows, man. And this was his post-trial commentary, because he was tried, found guilty on all charges, and an extra one just to be especially tyrannical. And everything's falling apart. He sees it. He knows about Israel now. He knows what's going on in Ukraine. He knows what's going on. And it's FJB messing up the whole country, taking it down. And it's pretty obvious to everybody in the country right now. I mean, the only people who can't see this are still wearing masks, basically. They're the ones that are still going out and getting the new COVID thing. And then he mentioned that, you know, when he got, man, if you listen to one thing out of that whole vigil, listen to Brandon Fellows' conversation. It's 10 minutes long. It's awesome. He got a contempt of court calling. This is the extra that the tyrants gave him. He was given his closing arguments, and in those closing arguments, he said he called that court a kangaroo Nazi court. And right on, there's where my headline for this video came, man. Welcome to the DC kangaroo Nazi court. Okay, there, I said it, all right? Guess what? The First Amendment allows me to say that. And you know what? You can't just go throwing people in jail for 5 months for saying that. But that's what they did to Brandon Fellows. So judge whatever you are, I hope it stands, you know. I hope nobody ever comes back and takes a secret look at what you just did to Brandon Fellows in your courtroom when you sentenced him and you gave him an extra 5 months for contempt of court for his First Amendment right. And Brandon has no remorse whatsoever. In fact, he's kind of happy about it. And if you listen to the phone call, you'll know why. Way to go, Brandon. I was rooting for you hard, brother. We were praying, me and my chat, we were praying for you around that courthouse when you were on trial. And we're behind you all the way, Brandon Fellows. God bless you, brother. And then after Brandon was done talking, Tammy got up and talked a little bit about Brandon's trial, because she attended it. She was in the courtroom when a lot of that was happening. She's got a lot of insight into Brandon Fellows' trial, and it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And then between phone calls, man, there was some good like J6er chat going on that you could actually hear. Going on between Trooper and Tammy and Tom Jeffries and the camera guy for Tom. They had some good conversations there that is just like, it was like hanging out with some people that were just sharing information and making sure the information we have is correct and things like that. So there's a good Trooper conversation at the end I timestamped. And then at 2:03, Jeff Sable called in from the DC Gulag, and he's usually the guy who calls in at the Freedom Corner. But for the first time, I think, in history, no, we did it once before, but this one went well, man, where they did the national anthem over the phone to 2 different places at one time, where they did it to Northern Neck and the Freedom Corner at the same time from the DC Gulag. It was cool. But it wasn't a 3-way call, because we used 2 different phones, all right? And I think we did that once before in Lewisburg, but we didn't have very good reception or something like that. So Jeff Sable mentioned there's a new guy in there. The other J6ers got together a care package for this guy. The food is horrible. You got to supplement it with commissary food. So the guys put together a care package for the guy. Yeah, the big wooden gallows really wasn't that big here. Let me make a comment on this. That wooden gallows wasn't more than 5 feet tall. There was no way you could hang you couldn't hang anybody on that thing. It was a movie prop. Yeah, and who built it? Who went to Home Depot, put, a couple of 4x4s and carried them out there? It has even like Simpson hanger clips on it and stuff. It was a movie prop, man. I bet the FBI built that before the gig. Jeff Sable also mentioned Jake Lang just spent his 1,000th day in prison. without a trial. Imagine that. You know, there is a constitutional right to a fair and speedy trial. Is 1,000 days speedy at all? No. So here we got tyrannical judicial system. And then Jeff Sable also mentioned he's talking with one of the gals I met and a great chat family person, Mama Earth, about this idea that she had about sending books to the BOP that are patriotic and perhaps historical, and buy the book, have it sent to the BOP, and tell them to just put it into whatever prison library that they can put it in, you know, just to place it into a prison library so that there is good patriotic information, constitutional information that you can read if you're a prisoner in going to the library at the prison. And I thought that was a great idea. So let's discuss that a little bit more. I know really when you're in prison, you do a lot of reading, you know, because you got a lot of time on your hands. You don't even got to cook, you know, the food just shows up and you can read all day long, you know, which is something there. He also mentioned that there's some rules about you can't put a letter on colored paper. You could only write on one side of the paper. These are two rules that I never heard of before. And maybe they're making up new rules, or these were rules all along, or these were rules for that certain prison. But there is a lot of rules. So when you're writing a letter, if you just want to make sure everything goes good, you put it on white paper, only write on one side of the page. And I heard you can't have one of them stamps you lick and put on the envelope. It's got to be one of them envelopes with the postage printed on it that you buy directly from the post office. So I think if you do those three things, you can be pretty much guaranteed that your letter will get through to the J6 you're writing to. All right, and Jeff Sable was up on the Tom Jeffries was telling Jeff Sable about the Tom Fighton J6 Judicial Watch lawsuits that are coming. He was really excited to hear about that. Daniel Ball, he's also there, was on the phone with Jeff. He had family visits on Friday. Way to go, man. We're glad to hear it. You got to visit with your family. Jeff Sable's got these 3 websites he keeps plugging, man. One is called BidenLaptopMedia.com. I went to this thing and I was shocked. And it's basically everything off of Hunter Biden's laptop, I believe. And I saw like 3 pictures of that shit, and that was enough, man. All right. I know it's on there without looking at it. And then knowing that I looked at it and saw what I thought I was going to see, I don't want to look at it again, man. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting shit. Hunter Biden is a scuzz of the earth. Just demon. He's got to be a demon, man. So there's what's on that website that Jeff Sable keeps good. I wouldn't recommend going there, though. But he does. And then there's another one I have not gotten checked out yet. There's 2 others. One is called precinctstrategy.com, and it's how to get involved in your local political scene. You know, what do you do? How do you just get started? Let's say you're a concerned patriot sitting at home. You're just overwhelmed with the confusion and the hassle of getting involved with this. If you go to this precinctstrategy.com, it gives you advice on how to do that. Now, I haven't had time to go to that site yet, and if any of you have, definitely put information in the chat or on the comments for this video once it's posted. And Jake Lang just there is a documentary that he did like a year ago that's really good, explaining what happened in J6. Okay, who built the gallows at J6? I didn't know there was a video about it or whatever this is here, Sylvia, but thanks. Yeah, because that was one of the first things they showed, man. a couple of times people were yelling, hang Mike Pence, you know, like, right, we're going to drag Mike Pence out and hang him. No way any of the Patriots that were there would allow that to happen, okay? You saw what happened when cops went down. Patriots helped surround them so they wouldn't get beat up by the violent people that were there. And there was violent people there, but it wasn't the 2 million Trump voters that were the violent ones. And that's what we're trying to find out. Who was the violent ones there? And then the other video is for a movie that's coming out that Dinesh D'Souza just made. It hasn't been released yet. It's coming out like this week or something, called policestatefilm.net, where you can buy tickets for that when it comes. I think it's going to be out in the movie theaters. And Dinesh D'Souza did the other movie, 2,000 Mules. I hope everybody has seen that. Mr. Coffee is in a costume and is visual. Oh, I don't know who that. All right, well, I'm going to have to see this Mr. Coffee thing. That's new to me. Okay, here's a pre-string strategy thing. Now, this is probably good information, but I haven't had the chance to check in on it. As explained by Don Schultz. Okay. Good. And Jeff Sable, man, every time he gets on the phone, right before he signs out, he hits these, this is information. He's spreading this information that's going to help us. And then basically everyone in the Chat and Troopers video was saying, call Jim Jordan and tell him we do want to investigate J6, because Jim Jordan has made statements to the contrary. And we do want him to look into J6 if he's elected Speaker of the House. And I think everyone can back him as long as he said that. He says he wants to not send any more money to Ukraine, which is cool. That's what we all want to. And that's what any rational-minded human being would want. But the statements that he made about not looking into J6 anymore don't jive with what we see as reality in this country here. So way to go there, Trooper. Good video. Sound was good as can be from that location, man. Thank you so much, Patriots on the Northern Neck area there. You guys are doing a stand-up job. And I am really interested in John Hines right now. I want to read every article that he's got on that Northern Neck Regional Prison right now. And I want him to go after him, man. It sounds like you guys got him covered by that last article. And I'm very interested in pursuing that story right now. Yeah, this trailer for Police State is really good. Oop, not that one. There it is. Police State film premiere. So you can watch like 2 or 3 minutes of it. It's like a normal premiere for a movie. A lot of good stuff in there. And, you know, it's shocking what we've endured here as Patriots. I got some like world news here, but I think Mags is coming on. Mags is having his Sunday afternoon chat show, which is always a pretty good place for us Patriots to get together and bounce ideas off of each other and whatnot. I think I had some other news here though. All right, so there was a bomb scare in France. Who knows if that's true, if that's Hollywood Wars. They had to evacuate the Louvre Museum there, but it opened back up the next day. Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and Iraq have all rejected the refugees from Palestine. All their brothers. Nobody wants them, okay? So these are other Muslim countries that don't want their Muslim brothers there. Their Muslim brothers are apparently supposedly living through horrific treatment by the Israelis, you know. but none of them want him to move in with them, okay? Does that tell you something? I think that tells you something. Egypt has a border with the Gaza Strip, and they closed it down. They won't allow anybody into Egypt from the Gaza Strip. They won't let Palestinians in there from the Gaza Strip. Apparently. Who knows if there's tunnels under there that go into Egypt? I don't know. But none of their brothers and sisters want to have them. So, do we want them? I'm telling you, America, they're going to wind up on those aircraft carriers over there. I'm telling you. Jamal Bowman was back in the news. Our friend Jamal, remember fire alarm Jamal? Who didn't get arrested for interrupting an official proceeding and causing the evacuation of the House of Representatives. He had a statement today. He's not laying low after what he did. He's actually coming out and saying, welcome, Palestine refugees. I don't know if he's welcoming them to our country. I don't know if his people that voted for him wants him to do this. But no, they're not welcome here. And neither are you, Jamal. Okay, you break the law. You're a typical tyrant, man. You gotta go, bud. You're busting other people and throwing them in jail for months and months and years for the same thing you didn't even get a ticket for, man. Tyrant. The siege of Gaza could end, okay? Because right now, it's a siege. A siege is where an army surrounds you. You are trapped. If you don't get out, you're going to die of starvation. If you try to get out, you're going to die fighting. If you don't, you're dead. It's a dead end. You're under siege, okay? Happens all the time in the scriptures. Happens all the time in other historical events, right? Right now, Gaza's under siege. And all they got to do is give up the hostages they got. All they got to do to turn the power back on is give up the hostages that they took with terroristic means. All they got to do to turn the water back on, get garbage service, get food deliveries, is give up the hostages they got. But they won't, because they worship death. That is what they worship. Read the Quran. It's right there. In fact, it's right there in our own scriptures too. Read about Jacob and Esau, okay? Jacob was later on named Israel, and he had 12 sons, and that was the beginning of the nation of Israel. And that's how God wanted to make it happen. But Jacob had a brother, and a twin brother, as a matter of fact, named Esau. And when you read the scriptures about Esau, you realize that he didn't listen to God. He took everything God said and threw it out the window and lived however he wanted to see fit. He didn't listen to God. And God put a curse on him. And that's some of these people that are Arabs and Islamics, and the Islamic religion started from the descendants of Esau. And then prior to that, there was Ishmael and Isaac, the two sons from Abraham. Abraham had a son, but it wasn't with his wife. You know, the stories are there. They're in our scriptures too. Allah is not the God of the scriptures, okay? I know there was like people wanted you to believe that, oh yeah, the God in the Bible, and they wouldn't tell you his name, is the same God as Buddha, is the same God as Shiva, is the same God as Allah, but they just are called different names. And if you just follow the religion that you follow as a good person, you'll go to heaven, right? There was, I pretty much grew up with that religious theory going around, you know, but I never bought into it, and I learned why after I had 10 years to study all this stuff. Oh, and I got, let's see. Yeah, the siege in Gaza could end, but it won't, because they worship death. And we will have to see how Israel deals with that. Okay, Israel's in a very delicate situation right now. All right, and then I'll just leave it at this, man. One of my, used to be one of my favorite actors was Robert De Niro. Hey, he was cool in the movies and stuff back when I was in the movies. And, but Robert De Niro has found a reason to come out and bash Trump one more time. He wanted to attend a Stop Trump summit lately. I don't know where this is, but this is what they do. This is what tyrants do. They don't hold a rah-rah Joe Biden is doing a great job summit. They hold a Stop Trump summit because they're driven by hate. Just like the Islamists are driven by death, the Democrats are driven by hate. Okay, that's what they thrive on. That's what they operate on. They create more hate, and they live off of hate. So they're having a Stop Trump summit, and Robert De Niro wanted to be there and speak, but unfortunately, man, Robert caught COVID, so he couldn't attend. And I'm just so sorry to hear about that, Robert. You know, that's too bad. And maybe you should wonder if your vaccine was the right one. I don't know if you got vaccinated or what, but yeah, that's too bad. So he gave a written statement, and it was the normal hate, Trump derangement syndrome stuff that's in there, and, you know, all but threatening to call for his, you know, for getting rid of Donald Trump and stuff. So, you know, Robert De Niro, you suck, all right? I hope you watch this video and watch me telling you suck. You were a good actor, but you're a good actor, and that's about it. But even though you're a good actor now, I'm not going to watch anything else that you do or go to any movie that you're in from here on out because you suck, man. You overstepped your bounds. You're an actor. You don't have a brain because the stuff coming out of your mouth tells us that you don't have a brain. And I'm never going to watch another movie of yours, man. I hope you die of COVID. I'm not gonna be sad if you have to leave this world right now, but you're breeding hate. You're breeding hate, Bob De Niro, and that's not it, man. We're into love here. Love your neighbor. You know, freedom, liberty, and justice for all. You know, you can't go around hating people in a system like that. And furthermore, you know, maybe I'll listen to you if you tried giving a speech about telling me how great FJB's doing. But I know you're not going to do that speech because there isn't anything great that he's doing. But if you really wanted me to listen to the things that you're saying, try that angle. Try the angle of love for Biden, okay? And then coming out and telling me why you love Biden so much, instead of telling me why you hate Trump so much. So, Bob, good riddance. Good riddance, De Niro. Thought you were cool, but you're not. All right, Patriots, I'll see you in the chats tonight at Freedom Corner, probably on Mags here. I'm going to look that up real quick. God bless you all. This is Jericho, over and out.